Welcome to the Everyday Awesome Project, where we bring you inspirational stories and game-changing strategies to live your most awesome life. Hey, superstars, welcome back. Polly here.
Sam Pruitt in the house. What's up, beautiful humans?
Yo, yo. Today, you guys, this is the start of, okay, so it's 2026. This
Mhm.
year, something Samantha has taken on. If you haven't listened to some of our recent episodes, we're calling this A Year to Live. A Year to
Mhm.
Live, modeled or titled by the book by the famous author Stephen Levine. And
Mhm.
tell us, my dear, what are we talking about today? What is A Year to Live about?
Yeah. So, A Year to Live is, of course, the book, but it's also a program that came out of that work.
Mm.
Okay. So, you can get the book and read it. You can get the audio book. It's very, very fascinating to hear it read by the author. He's no longer with us. He passed away in 2016.
Mm.
But what I am undertaking, in addition to reading the book, is going through a program through Spirit Rock Meditation Center.
Mm.
So that's in California. And then I've got three instructors, Vinnie Ferraro,
Your
and then
favorite.
Pam Dunn. I'm obsessed with Vinnie.
Mm.
Pam Dunn, she's also total awesome, badass. And then the other author of the second book that we'll bring up here, okay, Frank, and I believe it's pronounced Ostaseki.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Frank, if I didn't pronounce that correctly.
Yeah, yeah. The
Okay,
Five
so
Invitations. That's the book.
the
Yeah.
five invitations.
So these are the curriculum, or these are the books that are part of the curriculum of this year-long program that you meet once a month, and additional things. Started
Yep.
in January, goes all year. And do you know some of the history? I could talk a little bit about the history that I know from where I live in San Luis Obispo. But what do you know about the history of this and what it's
Well,
about?
this program's been around forever, since literally the book, right?
Mm,
And so Levine used to go and with his wife
mm-hmm,
go and basically work with the dying.
mm-hmm,
Okay. And through their work, they decided to come up with basically their own program for themselves and anyone
mm-hmm.
who wanted to undertake it with them to act as if they had a year to live,
Yeah, yeah.
to act as if,
I think the
because
book is from the mid 90s, and one of the things I remember from one of the first chapters is he talks about like on January 1 or like New Year's Eve, he was like, okay, next year I'm living as if I have a year to live, right? Like,
yeah, they did the whole started on New Year's Eve. I have not done that. Listen, my year has been hectic already.
yeah.
So I'm just getting my feet wet with the programming, and the course actually didn't even start
Yeah.
until about a week ago. So it's like late January. But then we go through the end of January 2027. So it is a 12-month program, but we don't start on January 1 like his model.
Yeah.
But basically, there's a whole process, practices, and a process around acting as if
Mm.
you have a year to live. And they walk you through it, and you do some practices. We'll briefly mention some of the practices today, but we're not going to do a deep dive on all the practices because this is a year-long program. People get a grip.
Mhm.
But we're here to tell you today, just sort of like, hey, this is what it is. This is why we're doing it. We have our individual reasons. And then maybe consider something like this, or maybe just plant a seed in your brain that at some point in your life trajectory, you might make space for something like this.
Mhm.
I decided to do this. First of all, I've been looking at this program for years.
Oh, cool.
So I've been watching, and I found out about this program probably 3 years ago. It was a podcast interview. It was Vinny
Oh,
being interviewed. And he just briefly mentioned the program in the interview. It wasn't the interview was not about the program.
yeah.
And I was like, what is that?
Ah.
Insane, ludicrous. What? And of course, for me, it just struck a chord. And I was like,
Curious.
at some point, I need to check that out.
Mm.
And then I just really didn't have bandwidth for making it happen. And then also, it's hard to get in. So it does
Mm.
sell out.
Mm.
Now, last year, I was experiencing familiar family and
Mm.
friends disease, death, and dying on a very personal level.
Yeah.
Yet again, it's not my first rodeo, but I was like, okay, if I can get into the program this year, I'm going to get in. And then I saw Vinny was one of the primary instructors, and I was like, oh, hell yeah, I will be the first one registering. Open, open, open.
So
And
good.
so I got in. So I'm in the program now. There's just under 700 of us globally. 700 globally. I mean,
Amazing. Amazing.
and Yeah, we had our first class basically that was 3.5 hours long. And
Wow.
then, in addition to being in this once a month big group with the collective, we have breakouts, which are basically what they call home groups.
Mm.
And you have a small group of people. There's 9 in my home group. They're all females from California. So that's kind of cool because we have already pretty much decided we're going to get together physically at some point in person,
Love it.
somewhere in the middle of it all. But we'll go through the program together in a more deeper dive or personal level so we can have more intimate conversation and stuff like that. So that's kind of the gist of it.
I love it, and we're this, so I've owned this book. I can't even remember when I bought it. I feel like I bought it maybe 10 years ago. I'm not quite sure. And I think I picked it up and tried to read it and I couldn't get into it. I was like, oh, I'll come back to it. But or how I heard about it first is in, the city I live in, San Luis Obispo, there was a local hospice that did a 12-month in-person version of this.
Mm.
And I came to find out, we were just speaking about our friend Jen, one of our close friends, her name is Jude. Jude used to lead it in town. So I'm like, she should have
What?
her on this. So yeah, yeah, yeah. Jen said, she goes, oh yeah, I remember doing that with Jude. She led it for years in San Luis Obispo. It was amazing. Da, da, da. So, we'll reach out to them and maybe have them. So one of our, this is the intro. Like we're just cracking this book open. We're just cracking these concepts open. You've attended your first event or whatever. So throughout the
Yep.
year, we're going to be, in it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't
This won't
wait.
be the first.
I can't wait till like a year from now. We're like, whoa, like what could be different? Like what are we gonna? Anyway, so that's where I learned about it. It was my local hospice, and they stopped. I tried to apply for it, find out about it, and this was right around the time of COVID, and they weren't doing it, whatever, and they haven't started it up again. So
Hmm.
we were similarly, attracted to this material. When you said, "I'm doing this," or "Hey, do you want to do this?" I was like, "Sure, let me," So I'm sort of riding on your coattails. I've got the books, and we're just gonna learn together through this journey, and we'll share some of the things that we're already discovering. So it's really fascinating.
Totally, totally. And in these groups or in this giant group, I mean, there's all walks of life. So everybody comes to this work from a very personal place, like why people are in it. I really only got discovery with my small group, and everything we discuss is confidential, but there's 9 different humans in the room, and we all shared kind of our reasoning for why we're there or what drew us to the work. So I'll read mine and then maybe you can express what's calling you to the work.
Yeah, and maybe some examples, because one of the things I think if you tuned into this, either you found us and you're like, oh, they're discussing that book or whatever. And like, what are some of you're not dying. I mean, we're all dying. Sorry, let me say that differently. We're all dying, but we don't have a prognosis or something short term. So this is, let's say, optional, or we've chosen to this work. But there's people that come into it because they work in that field, or they have a diagnosis, or they have a loved one who is, or whatever. Ours is, I think we'll talk about our whys, but there's all kinds of reasons. You don't have to be in your last year. You don't have to have a diagnosis to step into this, and just be curious about what you could grow in this area, I would say.
Yeah.
So
Wake the hell up. Well, let me read my reason.
this should be fun. We're talking about death
This
and
is so,
dying.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, we're going to talk about death today. Wow. Let's do it. Okay, here's my why: to expose my own fears,
Hmm.
my curiosity,
Hmm.
to seek connection with others and with the earth, all living beings.
Hmm.
For me, it's a creative act within my lifetime
Hmm.
to really deeply know myself. That's my personal reason. And then additionally, I want to provide comfort and a safe space for people who are dying and grieving,
Hmm.
which is what I just experienced
Yeah.
recently with my brother passing. And it opened me up to being able to do that for other people. I have done that in different ways, never at the level I did with my brother,
Hmm.
but I want to be able to provide that for others.
Wow. 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 That was I'm still moved over here. I want to hear those again at some point, or I'll go reread the transcript myself because those were so good. I'm just like, whoo. So my why is I'm just curious about development. Like when you said, "Hey," I'm like, "Yes, that feels like a yes." And I just go like that. Like, like with this landmark work that I've done, I'm like, that feels like what I need to do this year. Okay, and this feels like what I'm doing this year, right? I would say one of my key, Gandhi, my life is my message. One of my key life messages feels like live your life alive. Like live your fucking life alive right now, not for someday, whatever. And so there's
Mm-hmm,
something
mm-hmm.
about this material, this process, whatever we're going to discover through this, that feels like a deepening of that core who what I believe in, which is we're here to fully, embody and love our life. And if you shorten it, people don't know when their horizon is. Like not all of us know when our end date is, our expiration date on this thing called life, right?
I mean, really, who does?
Right, right. It's not,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's rare that you do, right? Whether it's sudden and shorter than you thought, or you have a long time and you live way longer than, like my mom's like, do, just kind of hanging out, doesn't know when, whatever.
My mother-in-law's 97.
Yeah, right. You could live way anyway, but it was like, if I could falsely or introduce something, a paradigm that I could live more from the way of being that life is precious and meaningful. What would that open up? What could I discover in that journey? So that's mostly my why. Spending time with you, and I think this is a fascinating subject. And last year, I became I don't know what rabbit hole I got down with those near death experiences, but that
You,
was like
dude, you went.
I still enjoy that whole world, and it just opened up so much spiritual awareness and awakening to me that I mean, I didn't have a fear of death or dying before. I haven't had. I think I was a teenager was the last time I had any sense of like, oh, I hope I don't die. Right? I have a aversion to pain, not an aversion to death or dying. Right? Like, no pain. I don't want to be in. Death, dying. So okay, so be it. So.
Okay, that's really interesting because that's one of the things we discuss.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
that's my why.
Mm,
Um,
mm, 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 mm,
living
mm,
more fully alive, and
mm.
I think that's yeah, and just really I'm curious. I'm curious there is to discover.
I'm going to read a few pages.
Nice.
Okay, so people can get a taste for the book, for Levine, his work, his wife's work, and the program. Are we ready?
Yes.
Catching up with your life.
Mm.
First of all, I love that. Okay. This is from Levine's voice. As I have accompanied the dying to the threshold over the last 20 years, it has become painfully clear how often death takes people unaware.
Mm.
Even those who had months or even years of illness to prepare themselves often lament how completely unprepared they felt for their death.
Mm.
In their last year, many people feel as if they have a second chance to grow, to do inner healing.
Mm.
Many speak of catching up with their lives
Mm.
just in the nick of time. Having observed the renewal that occurs for so many people because they have been given a terminal diagnosis, renewal, he says,
Mm.
or because their natural wisdom inspires them to open more profoundly to life, I offer an experiment that amplifies your potential for healing by living the next year as if it were your last.
Mm. Say that last sentence again. I offer you.
I offer an experiment that amplifies your potential for healing by living the next year as if it were your last.
Mm.
And then he basically goes on to express, some of the things he has witnessed. And I personally can completely relate
Mm.
to bearing witness
Mm.
to many people, friends and family that I love,
Mm-hmm.
that have died.
Yeah.
Um, Many that saw it coming.
Mm.
Uh, you know, it it's different for everybody. It's very unique, right? But in bearing witness to and being part of,
Yeah.
I felt what an incredible gift
Mm.
these people gave me by
Mm.
allowing me to be in it with them. Honestly, it blows my mind.
Mm.
It blows my mind. And if that doesn't wake you the hell up, nothing will. And if I just can impress right out of the gate,
Mm.
maybe this particular project, assignment you and I are taking on doesn't resonate, people might not be ready, whatever the dynamic is, have awareness
Mm.
about death, and we're going to talk about it because it's inevitable for all of us. None of us are getting out of this alive.
Mhm.
And if you are given the precious gift by anyone to be present in their own process and their own physical dying, please show the hell up for that.
Mm. Mm.
Show the hell up. I've had many conversations with people after my brother's passing recently. Tons of conversations. It's great. It's been like really opened up a lot of people to
Yeah.
being able to have the conversations, which I think is invaluable also. And somebody expressed to me, because she's terrified about the whole thing,
Mm.
that she literally, anytime somebody is sick or ill, it runs the other way out of her own fear and inability to process her emotions or
Mhm.
to bear witness
Mhm.
to that.
Mm.
And to me, that's a tragedy.
Mm. Mm.
That's a tragedy that I would not wish on the person who is dying
Mm.
or the person who is bearing witness to the death.
For some reason, this reminds me. So when I became an animal activist,
Yeah,
animal rights activist,
yeah.
one of the ways that it's funny. I think I'm gonna have to for these episodes. I think I'm gonna have to start having tissue around because
Oh.
these topics were so moving.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember when I first learned about the abuse of animals and how moved I was by seeing videos like this was in the 80s. I would see videos online of all the torturous things that happen to animals in cages and laboratories. And it just saddened me so much. And then I learned about factory farming and zoos and all and circuses and all these things that are just abusive to animals, and people won't bear witness. People won't watch a video to educate themselves on something that they're too afraid to face, right? And I think
Mm-hmm.
death is one of those things. It's like you can get through it. It's moving, it's a
Mm-hmm.
little scary or whatever, but you're strong enough, and I've been willing to watch lots of animal abuse movies to educate myself because I care. And I think the same is true of death and dying, is you face it, like being there, being with it. It's not going to kill you. you know it's not.
It's not going to kill you. It's going to open you up to your own impermanence
Yeah. And
and
what
the
matters to
impermanence of every one of us's physical body, irrelevant of what your beliefs are after that. Like every one of us sits in this physical body.
you.
We are here delivered in this package for whatever reason.
I know.
It's kind of comical
And
when you
we
think
chose
about
it.
it.
And we
You
chose
know,
it.
I can make everything funny. Like the comedy of it all is a little ludicrous. But
Totally.
so what happens is that that physical body is going to die from something,
Hmm.
from something.
It's going to wear
And
out,
so
expire.
pretending that's not going to happen
Hmm.
is not going to serve anybody.
Hmm.
And if you can be really tender and open and be able to, maybe you can't even communicate because it's you don't have the right words or you don't know what to say or whatever the thing is for you, I would task you with trying anyway.
Yeah,
But you can also sit there in silence
totally.
and just being in the room in the silence, whatever, allowing that person to feel your unconditional love just by your existence with them and however they might want to communicate or not is the most remarkable gift.
Yeah.
And everybody deserves that.
Hmm. For sure.
So let's talk about the stats of death. You ready? Because I just said everybody's got to get it. Let's discuss this topic. This kind of blew my mind. 175,000 people die every day.
Wow.
Okay. That's two people every 2 seconds.
That's like a big city. That's like, my little city over here. That's a couple of my cities. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
so globally,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
every day,
Wow. Yeah.
63 million people annually.
Wow. Is that right?
Dude, it blows my mind.
Wow.
Mostly from diseases, of course.
Wow.
Cardiovascular disease being number one,
Wow.
cancer disease being number two, respiratory and infectious diseases number three. So flu, pneumonia, malaria, infectious diseases,
Uh-huh.
and then accidents and suicides number four.
Wow. 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 Okay. Okay.
And I think again, good to be look at this honestly,
Yeah.
right?
That's just what so.
I could literally walk out the door. I'm a perfectly healthy, fit person, but something could transpire, or I could live till I'm 101. I don't know. We
No.
don't know.
Yeah.
And the reason to do a program like this is to make peace with your life now, or as he calls it, catch up with your life now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Why in the hell would you want to wait until you're on your deathbed to be like, damn, I should really sort some shit out. I should call some people. I should really
It's a
what?
little late for that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, well, I mean, and one of the logisticy things is we're not going to belabor this. We can maybe talk about it, but like finding out that your brother did not have his properties all like, or his property and his affairs in order, let's say, and he had been ill for a year, or more, and hadn't gotten to that. And it's like,
Yeah,
that's,
I don't know if that'll be part of this process with this work. I assume
yeah.
it was is, but yeah, you go through things with other people and you're like, "Oh damn, I better look at that." And then you and I talked about it and I immediately, text five people. I was like, "Hey, when's the last time you updated your trust and your this and that?" And most people I talked to had not.
Oblivious.
We had done ours. Yeah, 20 years ago or
Oh,
whatever the hell it was. You know what
yeah.
I mean? You don't all of a sudden every year go, "Yeah, I should redo that." It's just
Right.
not like on your radar,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know?
Yeah.
Anyway, we're off topic, but so there's a fear of death,
Yeah.
and there's a fear of death because historically and through religious beliefs, there are crafted stories about death and dying.
Mm.
And we are not here to judge whatever anyone's belief systems are. More power to you to have your belief system and go with that if it works for you, right? But if it doesn't,
Mm.
and it instills fear,
Mhm.
like a concept of hell and different things that are scary to you,
Mhm.
then this kind of work is even more important in advance because you need to make a reckoning with that belief system now.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not really things that were on my radar, but in this reading and sort of listening, I was like, wow, that would be difficult for somebody on their deathbed to be thinking and having that ingrained story or idea or concept about what happens next as part of their belief system.
Yes.
They would really want to be doing this work double time.
Yeah. Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, totally. Totally. I was
Yeah.
just thinking, a lot of, I mean, unless you examine your beliefs around death, which not a lot of people sit around and do, you may be surprised what got programmed into you, whether it's through your religion or your family or your culture or whatever. And so your experience or your relationship to death and other people dying is going to be through that lens of whatever's programmed inside of you. And whether you face it because someone's dying and then you go, oh, whatever,
Mhm.
um, you may not realize what's there and you may not like what's there if you haven't, so I don't have
Yeah.
any of that over here.
Well, but lots of people do. And I would even say from my own experience of experiencing death relatively young. So first started, my first real like death experience was I was young, probably 7 or 8 or something around that age, and my grandfather died.
Mm,
And when he died, he was in England. My family's from England. And I remember when my mom got the phone call
mm,
and her reaction to the phone call. I mean, hysterical,
mm.
the
Yeah,
emotional pain that I witnessed at that young age watching her experience that and the death of her father
yeah,
is still ingrained into my brain this day at this moment. I can literally hear it.
yeah.
And then over the course of time, losing even friends in high school and then losing, other family members throughout time and then losing friends and then so and all of those experiences being different.
Mhm.
Sometimes it was a traditional Catholic
Yeah,
casket, open casket in a going to the cemetery and sometimes it was a celebration. Just I've been to a lot of different experiences around death.
yeah, Yeah.
Again, these are all gifts because I got to see different things.
Yeah.
But some people have seen nothing and don't know. Or another thing I want to just express for myself is when my dad passed away, and that was a sudden,
Mm.
shocking. He had a heart attack. I was in such shock,
Yeah.
and all of us, I'm sure, were, that we didn't really have our shit together.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like we really did justice by celebrating his life. Like
Mm.
the series of events that happened a couple weeks after that, basically, were just sort of us surviving our grief.
Right.
And I mean, I felt like I was in a trance,
Yeah.
even to this day. Like I remember being basically speaking at his funeral, but I swear I was totally in a trance. I was having an out of body experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
So
I'm so under.
having things like that happen and then having the reverse where there's a long tail before a
Mm.
death and really being able to and having that variety, um, it's so important for me personally for my own dying and death as well as anybody that I love to be able to make sure that the space during that, whether it's minutes, weeks, years, is precious
Mm.
and is incredibly personal and reflective of the individual
Mm.
that we have lost, or I call it the great tree that fell
Mm.
when great trees fall.
Mm.
It's like that needs consideration. And
Mm.
that's another reason I just want to point to why these processes are important because everybody deserves that consideration.
I don't know why this thought was happening when you were talking. I was thinking, because as you described the number of people that you've lost over time, and I thought about um, witnessing death or the loss of someone, whether you hear about it or you're there with it. And I've lost way more animals than I've lost people. Just say, buried way more animals than I've buried people. Um, is I was like, I wonder if it's a little bit like the more you experience the exposure therapy. You know how they
Mm.
say like, oh, if you have cold exposure therapy, you get more accustomed to it. Like it, you can sort of do it. Like if you have exposure to death, um, as a younger person and you have it through life, it's not as triggering or shocking. I mean, yes, your dad, I mean, that's like a leg of your table, like just, what it's like, whoa, we got to restabilize here. But if it's like an uncle or someone further afield, if you will, a grandfather, like it's traumatic, but in a different way. But I'm wondering if there's a exposure to this, and the more you are, like I think about the people who do hospice, they couldn't do that work if they weren't, growing through it, understanding it, experience it, and like something in the wiring of it, their paradigm that through which they see it. It's sort of like a surgeon. Like if you went in and like cut someone open, you'd be freaked out. Like what the hell, But if you're trained in surgery and you do it every day, you just walk in, cut a person open, put them back together. Like, all right, next, right? So,
I don't think it's exactly that way with death because every relationship and
right.
experience is so different and
Yeah.
unique. But
Yeah.
I will speak to I have raised children, and my son in particular, when he was young, his grandfather died. This is my dad, right? And literally, I mean, that relationship
Mm.
was he was the one and only grandchild born in
Mm.
our entire family line.
Mm.
Okay. And my dad, I mean, that was his human. And for my son, that was his human, right? So
Mm.
I was like, oh shit, I'm traumatized by the whole thing that's happening. But I was like, I absolutely have to involve him in
Mm.
the whole process.
Yeah.
He needs to be part of it all.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of parents think I should hide this from my child, I should protect them, all these things. That was not my belief system. And I believe that that was a very powerful moment for him. And then he, of course, has lost his grandmother and
Mm.
his other grandfather, and like
Mm.
other people.
Yeah.
Um, and so my son, who's an adult man now, 30, has a pretty rich understanding about
Mm.
life and death
Yeah.
and can handle,
Yeah.
yes, these are difficult, challenging times, but he can show up and be there and be present in those moments. And I do believe there is a learning
Yeah.
and a growth that happens with the exposure for sure.
And I wonder if the difference between how you were there to sort of facilitate or foster him through that journey with your dad's death, if your mom wasn't quite as capable with, um, either her dad's death or your dad's death, like, I mean, it's just different with, it's not like Forrester lost you or his dad. He lost grandfather, but he was, very important in his life. So, yeah.
Well, I think this work speaks to that. So, to me, this work that we're going to be doing over the next 12 months speaks to having a greater understanding for not just the process and me developing my own unique beliefs, irrelevant of anyone else's,
Right.
any religious traditions, family traditions, whatever. Me developing how I feel
Yeah.
about death and dying, and then building my toolbox for that.
Mm,
So I think all of us have the opportunity, of course, to build this toolbox,
mm, mm.
and each of us, it's going to be so different,
Yeah.
but by me doing this for myself, I feel like I'm also going to be giving a gift to my friends and family when it is me,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I will be showing up to my own
Mm-hmm.
physical body dying and death in a way that is true for me. And I'm really hoping that gives them an
Mm,
incredible amount of freedom and,
mm, mm.
expression to have their own experience and
Yeah.
be with me there,
Mm, mm.
you know?
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. And I have written very specific things, just so you know.
Oh, you've already done it. Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh, heck yeah!
Is that part of the
Oh,
homework? Wait, I need to be catching up. Or is it
no,
no?
it's not part of the homework. I did something like that actually quite a long time ago. And then when I was experiencing my brother dying, I had quite a bit of time on my side there, sitting with him in the hospital bed, and I was giving it thought. And
Mm,
so I continued to sort of process that for myself. It was very powerful.
nice.
Um, so just to be clear, because I mentioned this,
Mm,
that how it's taught here, and I love this, and we talked about it briefly, is the dying is the body.
mm,
Dying is the physical body, and there is a process. Okay, there is literally a process that happens. I have witnessed it, and I know it to be scientifically true.
mhm.
A series of events that happen with the physical body. I'm not
We're
going
not
to get
talking
graphic
like
here.
by accident, like inserting you know,
Right. We're not talking about somebody that,
like a more natural death,
yeah,
let's
yeah.
call it. Yeah.
So people can dispel a lot of their fear by understanding this natural process.
Mm,
And you spoke about pain,
mm,
and that is part of many people's fear concept around
mm,
the dying of the physical body.
mm,
Will I be in pain?
mm,
Will it be pain I can handle?
mm,
Will the pain be too great? Like lots of things around pain. And you can see all of us as a sort of a society have decided that we don't like pain.
mm,
We every little thing we take something for pain and blah blah blah. So we have an aversion to pain.
mm.
So it makes sense that that would be one of the things that people would have fear around.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to grapple with the reality of the fact your physical body will go through a dying process and understand it, then you can understand that through part of that, there is a pain management
Mm,
that happens.
mhm,
It is very rare
mm,
that anybody is going to experience tremendous pain because there's a pain management protocol, unless you choose to not opt into it, of course.
mhm, mhm.
So I think for people just to know, like, what happens in their physical body, what are the series of events? And I will just be candid. When I knew my brother was in his final week and he was not going to be leaving the hospital because
Yeah.
his liver was failing, I flat out asked the doctors specifically, and if they didn't tell me, by the way, I would have went and researched the damn thing. What is going to happen because it's his liver failing? Like, what are the things that are specifically going to happen in his physical body? And then, of course, I did go and do a little more reading so I could have awareness
Mhm,
and be prepared for what I would witness
mhm.
and what he would experience.
Yeah.
And that gave me great comfort,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Totally.
know?
Awesome.
So, like, the more knowledge is power,
Yeah.
knowledge is liberation. It really is. And I just want to encourage people to have some curiosity around that
Mhm.
and then explore that and understand what happens. And
Great.
then that a great amount of suffering is highly unlikely,
Mm,
depending on your circumstances. I cannot guarantee it, but nonetheless.
got it.
Okay.
I like it. Mhm.
Yeah. One thing I think is interesting about death is there is a spiritual experience that some people have, and you and your near death experience obsession.
Mhm.
This is more of a thing that maybe a lot of people haven't even heard of before. Do you want to just speak really quickly to what the heck that is
Well, you mean like near death experiences and what I've
and what people say they experience? I mean, the common threads.
yeah, maybe I'll try and summarize. I hadn't thought of like, oh, the whatever, but two things I want to say is I've been so in 2025 I was quite obsessed with near death experience stories and just from the spiritual aspect. You know, not a like a curious about death aspect, but I was like, wow, like what can they like somebody who quote goes to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have this big unknown, it seems like there's this black box of death. What happens? And there's lots of theories and going to heaven, going to hell, whatever you want to call it. And so just hearing these people's stories who didn't die and that they left and didn't come back, but these ones like went somewhere on various journeys for various durations. Some people were in a coma for a month, some people were, you know, their heart stopped for 7 minutes on a surgery table, all sorts of stories, right? But some of the common threads, you may have heard this before, they do oftentimes you hear a life review, which is their life, and there's various experiences of that, but often it's experiencing the whole life, not just like looking at it on a movie screen, like they feel everything. And they often talk about actually they feel everyone that was involved in it. Like if they had an argument with somebody, they not only felt their life, but they felt the impact of that person that they were with. Like from both, it's fascinating. Like they're the oneness of it. Anyway, and then the dynamicism beyond that is so vast. The journeys, everything from being in gardens to black abysses that feel like pure love to white lights to seeing some sort of beings. Often the beings are quite tall. You know, they a lot of them report like they're like 7 feet tall or 10 feet tall, and relatives coming to them. You know, lots of variety. Like it's all over the place. But some of the most common things are pure love. As soon as you're out of the body, it's pure love. Like boom, like it's like falling into just unrecognizable. They none of them have words to describe what that pure love feeling is. It's undescribable. And if there's anything that they're seeing, it's not like black or white or whatever. If there's anything they're seeing, it's colors you can't even we don't even have the spectrum for them, right? Like that kind of a thing. And I think about, well, I'm sure like in LSD trips or something like that, maybe they get closer. I don't know, but most people say it's unrecognizable colors. The time space thing is all made up. You know, there is no time space. They go over there, they're like, I think I was there for 1,000 years and then I came back. You know, like it's totally different. What else? One of my favorite things is the popping out of the body. Like oftentimes because of the near death, like they're probably like traumatic-y things, you know, like car accident, overdose, accident, heart attack, surgery, malfunction with anesthesia, whatever, things like that, where they pop out and then they're in the surgery room, they're in the ER, they're somewhere, right? But they're there, you know, and then they have that view.
Over the body.
So, and then they often travel, you know, usually they're like going through the hospital in various whatever. But and then the going back into the body is the other one, right? And I don't know the number, but half say they were told they were like, oh, I don't want to go back. Like, you know, there's someone they're talking to, whatever they're negotiating, like going back and stuff, and they're like, nope, I'm here. I'm loving this. Like, I've never felt love like this before. Don't send me back. And they're like, nope, you have to go back. And they're like, nope, don't want to go back. And whatever. So they there's
They arm
negotiating.
wrestle.
There's
They arm wrestle.
negotiations. Yeah. And then some are asked, do you want to go back? I'm like, how do they get options and they don't? I don't know. Whatever. But there's the going back process. And often some of them it's like split second, boom, and then I was back in my body. There's no realizing that I was going back or whatever. But then there's a group of them that let's say they see their body and they're like, how am I they're so expanded. Like like if I had to describe what it maybe feels like is like they're as big as the sun and they're like, how am I going to get into that body? Like they're like, there's no physical way that this big me is going to get into that body. So there's that. And then they just go, "What?" And then I'm in, you know. And oftentimes they're like in pain because something had occurred or something like that. So they went from this bliss state and they're like, oh, and then I know I'm back in my body. And they're like, oh, and then it's heavy and it's form. And, you know, they describe that. So I could go on, but those are some of the common things. But
What a trip. Yeah, I mean, and there's not a small amount of people that have experienced this. Okay.
No. Oh,
And
this
then
is
I
cool.
told you I got obsessed with a podcast. Oh gosh, I'm just drawing a blank on it. But
Telepathy tapes, that one?
yeah, telepathy tapes, where the second season is near death experiences. The first season was some other subject matter. So anyone who wants to like hear it from these people from their own word, and then of course you can just Google it and see all kinds of
Mhm.
stuff. But it's totally fascinating. One
Mm.
other thing I want to mention, just because before it slips my mind, is there is also people who do decide to end their own lives.
Mm.
So
Mm.
it's assisted suicide, basically, and it is legal in some states. I'm surprised it's not legal in California, honestly.
I think it
But,
might be. I know somebody that did it, so I think it might be.
well, I do too, but it's not legal currently in
Oh, okay.
California.
Okay.
But that's a whole other topic. But there's a great film, a documentary about this, and I'm sure there's multiples. But anyway, you just look on Netflix and you can just type that in.
The
And
near
it's
near death?
also not about, so not near death experiences, which I'm sure those do exist, but there's also great films and documentaries and stories. This is what I'm just trying to introduce people to, where they can start to explore this in a different way and maybe get more comfortable with these concepts. Through video or through audio or through books or things of that nature, right? Because there's a lot of different ways that this is all going to be happening for people. So I do think people having awareness around that and understanding the perspective
Mm.
of the person dying. So what I love about the stories you said is these are people's real life experiences, near death experiences that they're sharing.
Mm.
Okay. And same with this documentary on assisted suicide is like you're experiencing in real time that person's story that they're willing to share.
Wow. Yeah.
It's so beautiful. It's so remarkable. I
Mm.
mean, it's so empowering,
Mm.
incredible.
Mm.
And also to be on that journey and bear witness with their friends and family. So, by doing those things, this is the exposure you're talking about that can
Mm.
allow you to have a more open idea or possibly dialogue with people. So, I just want to kind of offer that up too.
Mhm.
All right, let's explore this concept, which
I want
is
to talk more
catching up
about
with
near
your life.
death. We're gonna have another near. I just love talking about that. I was like, oh, that was really fun. Yeah.
Right? So, the catching up with your life is this taking on the challenge, the
Mm.
project, if you will, to do this life examination, to do this inventory or whatever you want to call it, right, of your life. And so that is part of the curriculum that
Mm.
we will be doing, obviously. But let's just talk about what that is and how people might do that, right? So it starts with just starting to become aware. Okay, now this could be a little shocking for people. Okay, I'm just going to speak for myself. So I am going to be 57. So I got a few years under the belt.
I
Okay,
was gonna
people,
say the inventory. You know.
I really can't remember a lot of shit. And then all of a sudden, when I start to like try and, with a calendar, with a timeline, sort of unpack or, hey, where the hell did I live and what all, whatever, I can't remember a lot of things.
Dude, as you said that, I'm like,
Do you have the same problem?
wow, like, yeah, I know I'm gonna, oh, I know. Yeah, I
Now
have.
I have other people who remember freaking everything. And I'm like, what the hell? Are you like a savant or something? They're like, remember when that happened? Remember when you said that? I'm like, I got nothing.
Wow,
I don't,
yeah,
was I even there? Are
yeah,
they just making this shit up? I don't know.
totally.
So it's going to be different for everybody. There's no judgment around like, well, can you remember and what you can't remember? I think it's really about like going back to your birth, right? And being like, just starting to weave the fabric a little bit of,
Mm.
this is what my family unit looked like. This is where we live. So you just kind of just the basics. You don't have to get too crazy.
Are you like writing this? What are we
You
doing?
should be journaling it.
Okay, okay.
I basically just started like a timeline.
Mm.
So I'm like, birth, line number one. I was born a cute little baby.
Amazing day, amazing day. I came into the
there,
world.
there was an earthquake the day I was born.
Boom, Samantha's here on the scene, y'all.
Right. So what was interesting is to do that, and again, without judgment or a lot of emotional attachment to it.
Mm.
And as I slowly started doing it, then things started kind of like coming back to the surface. I was
Mm.
starting then to have like these flashback things like, of me at a certain age in a certain
Yes.
place.
Yes.
And then these people were there. And, so like, why are these things in my mind? Why are these memories that I have held
Mhm.
on to? Like,
Mhm.
I have assigned some kind of meaning to them. They maybe have meaning, and maybe I need to explore that. So I would just write them down
Cool.
without like
Cool.
overdoing the dramatic part of it of like, I need to know what. Yeah, just write that shit down.
Yeah.
Okay, just write that shit
I
down.
like it.
And
Yeah.
I haven't gotten all the way to age 57, by the way. I mean, I'm barely started here.
Yeah.
So this is quite a process, and I do think it's going to be a slow drip.
Is that part of the homework now, or are we doing this like throughout the year, or
So
is
this will be part of the homework. I haven't technically been assigned this homework except in the book, and I have been reading the book.
mm-hmm.
This is the second part of the process. The first is get on board with doing this project.
Yeah.
Okay, because you can be part of this group that I'm in, this course, and you can kind of be showing up,
Mm.
or you can literally take your shoes off and walk through the door
Yeah.
and be all in, right?
Mm.
So you're going to get different people in the room having different experiences. And just from what I've already witnessed, I see some people do have quite a bit of fear.
Mm.
And so that might be a slower process for them to be willing to really be engaged in the work and be willing to do like an inventory and stuff like that. So it's going to be, there's no judgment here. I'm
Mm.
just sort of going to talk through a couple of the first steps so people can be like, that sounds amazing or that sounds horrible.
Mm. Totally, totally. Something I want to just insert now or could insert later, but I just
Yeah.
feel like saying it now. So two things. One is having last year listened to so many near-death experiences. Not only do I not have an aversion to it, I can't wait. Not like I'm like wanting to die sooner, but like, oh, sure. Like, oh my God, unconditional love, feeling peace, all this stuff. I'm like, bring it on, you know? The second thing, so, any fear of that, it's like, wow, go listen to these people talking about it. It's so blissful. And one thing I can say, if anybody has any of that fear of like having an accident, is every person I listened to who had an accident that would have caused severe pain, falling from a cliff, hitting a side of a guardrail or whatever like that, they pop out of their body before the moment of impact. So just like that's one of my things. I was like, man, if I'm some of these hikes, I'm like, oh my God, if I died and I felt the pat, whatever, you pop out before the impact, and then, you might go back in, whatever. But anyway, so that's one. And then the other thing is, two things. So I've been listening to a lot of so Stephen Levine was hanging out with Ram Dass when he was, in these days of writing this book and doing this doula work you're talking about. And one of the things that Ram would say is that was given to him by a teacher was um, dying is like taking off a tight shoe or
Yeah,
something along that line.
exactly. Something that you don't fit in anyway.
Yeah, it was
Mhm.
like it's gonna feel like taking off a tight shoe. It's like, it's gonna feel good. So yeah, I just wanted to say that because
Totally.
as people think about like death, dying, it's like wow, I've only like a from my near death experiences, like the amount of unconditional love and beautiful experiences is worth it. And then like taking off a tight shoe, oh, that sounds fucking good too, So
Hmm.
that's why I
Well,
don't, yeah.
there's the dying of the physical body, and then there's the
Mm.
death. And in my personal opinion, the death is the liberation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You, you're not in your body anymore. You have left the rented building. Okay.
yeah.
You're just renting this thing anyway.
Yep, yep, yep,
Don't
yep.
get too attached.
Totally, totally. And the sooner you can get unattached from it in it, the better as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. I want to read this because I just thought this was so good. Stephen Levine said this. It's time to get a passport,
Mm.
even though you have no idea where
Oh,
or when your adventurous trip will begin.
hmm. Just
Okay, first of all, wouldn't we do that?
like
Wouldn't
being,
we like prepare ourselves for the trip,
yeah, yeah,
right? So
yeah.
this is really all we're asking is
Mm,
like that trip's going down. There's
mm,
going to be an adventure.
mm, mm,
Let's work to create a relationship to that trip
mm,
that is positive,
mm,
and however you choose to make that happen is up to you.
mhm,
But this is what we're doing is we're getting a passport.
Mm, I love it.
We're
I love it.
going on a trip.
Well, it reminds me, I just had a friend who had hip surgery yesterday and thinking about you
Ah.
going into surgery. And I was telling her she was preparing for she had had hips and the other hip surgery about 6 months ago. So this was the second one. So it's not like, oh my God, hip surgery. She wasn't like afraid of it or anything. But I was
Mhm.
telling her how amazing your story of going into the OR and talking to the doc, your whole perspective of it was like, y'all are my team and you're my people and da da da. Like you were just so light and love and like feel good and, positive energy. Just that whole experience. I would say the story about this journey or your death or whatever you say about it, like that, you bring that to it. If it's going to be the worst thing of your life, okay, then guess what? It's probably you're going to have some suffering, but if you bring like, wow, I'm really going to be graceful for this or graceful through this, or I'm going to be connected with people or whatever, that will be your.
You want to hear something even
Mm,
bigger? People may not like this, but I'm going to say it anyway. How you live
mm,
is how you die.
mm,
So if there is a lot of angst and
mm,
fear and regret
mm,
and anger and sadness and resistance and all the things,
mm,
the suffering, we'll just call it all one big bucket of suffering,
mm,
there will be suffering
mm,
because what you're expressing, which is ultimate truth, is how your mind perceives it, so it will be.
mm, mm,
So the liberation is to bring your mind into a place where it is not suffering.
right.
And you have that power.
Mm,
You do. I had complete, power over the situation of I'm going to be in surgery. I'm going to be unconscious. I'm going to be cut open. I'm going to be all these things. And I could have gone in, which many people do, with angst and fear and all the things. And like you said, I was like, hell no.
mhm,
I got to drop the goods in here. Like, I got to come with as much love for myself and for the people who are caring for me
mhm.
as possible. I'm going to create the environment for success, for healing, for everything to go right
Yeah.
today.
I say how this is going to go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Love it.
totally.
Mm.
Totally. Okay, so how do you take a personal inventory of your life? Well, I kind of alluded to
I think
some
I'm
of the
gonna get a
steps here.
journal. I'm gonna get a new journal for this, like just my death story or I guess this is my life review. Is that what you call it? Life review.
Mhm.
I'm gonna get a life review journal. This will be fun. Yeah.
Oh, every time you can get a new journal, it's fun.
Oh, hell yeah, yeah.
So you got to make time to clear the path,
Mm,
right?
mm,
So like one of the things you and I kind of went back and forth on, you're like, "Hey, what are you doing getting started?" I'm like, I don't my path isn't clear
mm,
yet."
mm,
Is really what I meant. Like I haven't started the work yet because you need to be in the right place and you need to have space and
mm,
time for this to be something you can be available to.
mm,
Okay, so if you have three screaming kids or whatever all your crazy life might be, this is going to be very difficult to
mm,
do, right?
mm,
So unless you can carve out time, and I even said to you, I've been going to the library. I finished my certification with Dr. Sims, blah blah blah, and I think I'm going to continue to go to the library and do
mm,
this weekly work as part of my writing assignment or whatever you want to call it, because the focus, the quiet, the intentionality
mm,
to that moment in the week for me to give myself that space. So I
mm.
would make that suggestion for people as well. What do you think?
So, are you finding that the homework? Well, you haven't gotten access to exactly to the homework yet. So, like,
Right.
what I've done so far is I've been reading the chapters, right? I haven't done work. I would say, I have two things that you will add at some point. I want to add like what I've already discovered. I want to contribute that, but I haven't like started journaling or anything. I'm just sort of like taking in the book and the material. So I was like, oh, there's a lot of homework. There's like a meditation, and then there's this, and then I'm like, okay, I gotta. So are you finding that you're doing it like homework, like you're in a classroom? Yeah, yeah. Okay.
No, but you
No.
know me. You know me. I don't roll like that. They can be like, hey, meditate for 40 minutes. I'm not going to do that.
Mhm.
This is my life,
Journey. Yeah.
my journey, my
Yeah.
experience, my process. y'all, I am not going to play by the rules.
Hmm.
That is just not how I even operate. Everybody knows that.
Totally.
And it's cool if that's what people need and want, is that formal structure. Some people did express in one of our conversations that they really are like liking the structure to this. That's not at all what I'm attracted to.
Mhm.
Um, but like I'm listening to the book sometimes while I'm driving down the freeway in Los Angeles the other day, freaking 75 miles an hour. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm not going to meditate or take notes because
Mhm.
I'm driving.
Mhm.
But then other times it's going to be,
Journal
you
time.
know,
Yeah.
5 o'clock in the morning while I'm drinking my coffee in, the sun's coming up or whatever the hell. It's going to be all over the place. But back to sort of how do you take this personal inventory, right? We got to clear the path. And then you need to be in a place that's really non judgmental,
Mm.
where you can take this inventory. And I think this is going to be a tough one for people
Yeah.
to unpack these memories, these ideas, these thoughts that you're having about your life trajectory up to this point and not attach too much emotional, weight to it.
Well, I was just going to say, so are you just sort of documenting the who, what, where of your life, or are you
Well, that's the
adding?
first step.
Okay. Okay.
And then after you've done that, you are starting to look at things that are bubbling up for you that are causing emotional discomfort.
Mm.
Okay, that could be regrets.
Mm.
That could be things that you feel shame about. It could be things that you have still anger towards a person. You are traumatized from experience. All of that stuff is real. I'm not saying that those things aren't real, but like out of the gate, don't put so much heavy weight that you never get through the damn process.
Gotcha. Got it.
Like get it
Don't get.
down on paper to the best of your abilities.
Okay. This is the who, what, where, and then all that
Mhm.
other stuff can be added later or whatever. But just start to build the timeline to start. Okay.
Yeah, because what does come happen next? Ooh, uh-oh, is that you are tackling
Yeah.
these harder things. And in particular, the relationship you hold with yourself emotionally around these things and with others.
Mm.
So it could be an unresolved thing that happened to you, unresolved in your emotional mind.
Mhm.
When I was young, this thing happened. I mean, I have no, hello, do we have stuff? I mean, Lord have
Some
mercy. Okay.
unpacking. Yeah. You got some
Well,
material to work
the
with.
interesting thing about it, I was like, I don't really can't think of that much stuff. But then, like, once I started to like superficially play in the sandbox, I was like, what the hell was that? What the, huh? Right? So I still have
Yeah.
some stuff. We all do. We're human. Um, Throughout my history, where I have some emotional sadness,
Yeah.
grief,
Yeah.
that these are unprocessed,
Yeah.
or maybe anger, or maybe regret, or whatever. So the next level will be in resolving those things. It could be that I need to have a conversation with somebody.
Mm.
It could be that I need to write a letter to somebody. It could be that I need to write a letter to myself.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
could be I need to apologize to somebody. It could be that somebody maybe I wish would apologize to me, whatever the dynamics are.
Yeah.
There's gonna be shit, people. Life is messy.
Mm.
Life is messy. And what you're going towards is not resolution, because you can't have expectations about, well, I'm going to go have that convo with my mom. And she said that. Can you believe he did with that? Like, no, you're not
Maybe.
picking a fight.
Maybe there might be
I'm
some
not saying no convo, but you're not going to pick a fight, right? You're going for simple
healing.
expression
This is a
and
healing
healing.
journey. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not there to right, wrong, point fingers or whatever, blame, complain, that whole thing. It's
Yeah.
healing. Like oftentimes if I've done this ever, it's discovery. It's just like
Mhm.
I'm just discovering like what was their perspective and what was there, like looking at it from two different perspectives, almost like third person observer moments. Yeah.
This is so good. I love this term. I think I sent it to you because I thought this is freaking classic. You are having a going out of unfinished business sale.
Say that again.
You are having a going out of unfinished business sale.
That makes me laugh.
I love that.
Right.
And I'm going to literally probably tattoo that on my arm
No,
or something,
no, 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 no.
because there's this lightness to that.
Yeah.
There's this levity and joy and humor and insanity of that. Like, I'm going to have a garage sale with my unfinished business.
Put up a
I'm
sign. It's
just
like,
thinking,
woo, clearing the house. This stuff's got to go. Whoo, got to make room for, yeah.
right. So this process isn't going to be all dread and doom and, reliving old traumas. There's also like, you can have some fun. You can laugh
Right.
about it. It can be ludicrous.
Yeah.
It
Get
can
rid of
be
some old,
whatever.
yeah. Get rid of that old furniture you don't need,
Get rid of that old furniture.
I like it.
Unfinished business,
I dig it.
And if you think about who do you have unfinished business with,
Mm,
and you made that list of people, hopefully it's not too long, by the way.
mm, mm,
At the top of the list for myself, I would put me,
mm, mm.
and it's the revelation for myself around, hey, there's a lot of other cool shit you want to get up to. So if you got a year, and I'm talking to myself in the mirror, what are you doing? What in
Exactly.
the hell are you doing over there? So
Mhm.
this is just me calling me,
Yeah.
on my unfinished business. And of course, it can be old relationships and, parental, sibling, whatever the thing is, you
hmm
know. Um, and then the second, so any questions about that?
No, I just was thinking of that might be a good place to add the two things that I've already discovered, but I think they'll come after you keep going on your list. Yeah.
They're going to come at the end because I just have one more thing. So, because I don't want to go too far in the process, but another part of the process after you've started doing this is again, because you've woken up now, you have awareness. Ideally, you're operating and walking around with a different pair of glasses, right? Which is, oh, now all of a sudden I'm kind of awake to.
And you've cleared the house. You got rid of the old furniture that was, going out of business sale is cleared. Like we got room here. Yeah. Yeah. So
I call it wake the fuck up, but they call it noting, which
noted.
is a Buddhist term for a practice.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, oh, that really makes me feel this way. I'm thinking this way. Note it.
Mm,
So without emotional attachment, you're
mm,
noting. I
mm.
noticed that
Yeah.
when Polly says this or goes like that, I feel a certain way. Note it.
Mm.
Right? I don't get attached to it and be like, what in the hell? You just said that. I'm
No.
just, hey, noted
What's there for me? Yeah. 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 Yeah.
without an attachment to the emotion or the thing that's happening. I'm really practicing the hell out of this right now in the business world. And I'm not going to name names or projects or whatever, but I have a very complex project right now with a lot of people. And these people are not getting along.
Mm,
So for me to bear witness and hold space and try and be Switzerland, as you call me,
mhm.
in this environment, I'm doing a lot of noting. Okay. And not just noting on the shenanigans of the humans, but like noting on what comes
Yourself.
up for me.
Yeah. Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I'm like, wow, Susie or Fred or whatever, I can't believe how controlling they're being or how bullying or whatever thing. And then I'm like, huh, why is it coming up for me? Like, just note it
Yeah. Yeah.
rather than me responding and being like, oh, I'm coming. No.
hmm
So that's called noting.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Recognize what's happening when it's actually happening.
Hmm.
Recognize what's happening when it's actually happening
Hmm.
rather than being asleep. Right. So I'm going through the day, all these things are happening, but I'm actually not there at all. I'm in my head thinking about what
Hmm.
my husband said to me this morning when he walked out the door, or what my mother said when she left me a voicemail, or fill in the blank of 1,000 things that I could be obsessing about and ruminating over.
Hmm.
And meanwhile, here's my loved one in front of me, my grandson. I was just with my grandson, you know, asking cool questions and doing cool things. And like, I need to be present in my experience with him, but I'm too busy thinking about something else. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, Return to the moment with inquiry and curiosity.
Hmm.
Right? You do this exceptionally well. You're always
Hmm.
curious.
Hmm.
Sometimes I'm not so curious about people. You just wear me down.
Yeah.
I thought you were interested. I'm not interested anymore.
So in my landmark work, one of the questions that just came up last night that I just love this question is that I think ties in with what you're pointing to is what's at the source of that? I love that question, right? It's like if something comes up for you or da, 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 or whatever, what's at the source of that, right? Like what's behind the whatever it be. So, yeah.
Well, hell, you're going through this practice. You're going to have to get to the source of a lot of
Let
things.
me unpack a few things here, people. Christmas is coming early. There's some packages coming out. You know? Bing.
Totally, totally. Oh, gosh. I love this. Our lives are a collection of what we touch and what touches us. That's so true. Our lives are a collection of what we touch and what touches us. One of my favorite quotes, which is similar to that, is that your only true belongings are your actions.
Mm,
Oh, when you hear things like that, your only true belongings are your actions, or our lives are a collection of what we touch and what touches us. Doesn't it just make the shit real like that?
who can put sentences together like that? Like that?
All of a sudden, I am like, whatever, y'all.
Totally.
I'm running off to the ashram. Bye. Shimena, bye. Like, because you very quickly look around at the insanity of it all.
Hmm.
The Zoom meetings, 50,000 emails. It's like, are you kidding me?
I know. Yeah.
Who's selling me this BS?
Does it
Anyway,
really even matter? I know. I
so you
know.
get present. You
Mm,
get present.
mm,
And if something triggers you, you go, noted, and you
mm.
release it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can get curious about it later or not.
Hmm.
You're going to be more curious than me. I'm going to be like, bye.
Yeah, because I just don't want to, like hanging out in the swamp is what I was calling it last night. Like last night, I was just spent, energy spent, body and mind were just like taxed. And I had a long, our meeting went till like 10 o'clock last night. And I was just like, I'm so over it. And I was just kind of slumped down in the back of the room feeling, I was just like, don't call on me. I got nothing, you know? And it's just like, why was I even telling that? Anyway, it's just like the energy for that. But when you're in a good state, like you have energy for things and you want to be up to things, right? So like that's not the moment to be like putting a lot of inquiry into myself. It's like I'm just tired. Like, the body's just tired. Like, okay, next, and I woke up this morning, I'd let myself sleep and reset and it's like, okay, I think I'm back, Here we are.
Yeah. And I would say, when you get those times where you're really in sync with yourself, you are rested, well taken care of, and you really feel connected or this deep sense of connection to your own knowing, like the awareness is really like firing, carve out time
Mm,
right away.
mm,
Cancel some other shit, yo, because that stuff ain't important anyway. Cancel that stuff and go do this kind of work or
mm,
any kind of self inquiry or journaling or reflective work
mm,
because most of our life we're walking around exhausted, tired, tuned out, or whatever because we're in survival mode. We'd like to get you out of that, but all of us get in it sometimes.
mhm,
And, for many people, they've been stuck in it for a long time
mhm.
and they actually don't know how it feels to even feel good. So you're going to have to make time and space for these kind of practices. It's not something to do take lightly.
I think the other thing, just as you were talking, so I appreciate the idea of self-reflection and journaling and stuff, and enroll a friend. Like, don't do this alone either, right? Or somehow share this. Like, I feel like the speaking and the sharing and the collaboration or the conversations around these things is helpful. Is going to extend it or help you clarify, right? Like, I don't know about you, but I can have all sorts of things dancing on going on up in my head, and as soon as I one hear myself speak it, it gets more crystallized instead of nebulousy, and then sometimes I go, that's not even true, that's stupid, that's smart, right? Whatever, right? And then reflections and feedback, it just allows it to live more out in communication. So
I am torn about that because I'm a very introspective person and I do love my alone time. Frankly, I'm in love with myself. I mean, have you seen my Bitmoji? She has a t-shirt and it says, I love me.
hmm.
That didn't happen overnight, people. Okay. But the
I did
point
not.
is, the
Yeah.
point is that when I get around a group,
Yeah.
and I've been doing some group stuff on this, and of course I talk to a lot of people, I have a very different experience with this conversation or work. So I'm not always looking for that feedback
Mhm.
because, how can I say this nicely? The reality is that we're all coming at it from our own place.
Totally. Totally.
And so, depending on who's in the room, who's in the conversation, whatever, you're going to get their stuff.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's better to have boundaries and not be in other people's stuff or even bearing witness to it, because there can be a heaviness
Mm.
there that might stop you from something else that you could be experiencing. So I would say play with that
Mhm.
and just see.
We'll see how your home group is in 90 days for you. Yeah. We'll see how.
Totally. Well, you're gonna, I mean, because I don't play by the rules. You should already know. So I basically have already said, so listen up, people.
I will not be doing this and I will be doing this. So,
Well, okay, it's once a month for an hour makes almost no sense to me, because if we're actually doing this work and there's 9 people in the room, I'm totally confused how that makes an hour
yeah.
be a thing.
Yeah.
So I said, first of all, it needs to be at least 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And then, second of all, some people who are really into like doing maybe the 5 invitations
Mhm.
could have a separate breakout and we could just do that together and whatever, whatever. So I've already posed a couple other ideas
Mm.
because I'm a creative person, Polly.
Mhm. Mhm.
And about half the people were like, oh my God, I can barely do this and I'm overwhelmed. I don't have time. And I was like, okay, I didn't say anything of this was mandatory. I'm just posing some concepts. And then the others were like, yeah, I would totally love to do that. So again, it's very personal, it's very individual.
Yeah.
And if they all said, I want nothing to do with that, I don't really care.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to be doing it.
Yeah.
I'm just like you know, we just create space. And if people show up, great. And if they don't, they don't. Okay. So what is it that what's already shifted for you since you began conceptually embracing the idea that you have a year left to live, or even reading the book? So, like, what's already shifted for you?
Do you want to go first or you
No,
want me to?
you
Yeah.
go.
So I would say I feel like there's a third thing, but I was telling you two things at least. So the first thing, and I think I told you I enrolled my mom loosely in this. We'll see how closely she does this with you and I are in it. We're game on, we're in it, we're already started the race, right? My mom is like sitting maybe on the side, whatever. She was like, yeah. So in the first conversation with her, hey mom, we're gonna do this, whatever. We're gonna live as if this is our last year. She's like, oh wow, that sounds amazing. Yeah, let's do that. And then 2 minutes later, she wanted to complain about something. And I was like, hold up, hold up. My last year, your last year, we're not going to be having these kind of conversations. We got no time for that. We got to like make the magic and experience the love and whatever we want to do. But complaining and all the lower vibrations, sure, you're going to have that. But if we can choose, like I'm aware that you're about to complain and I'm just telling you about it. Oh, snap out of it, right? Like, oh yeah, I don't want to spend my time doing that. So that's one of the things is things that create resistance in my body that are like lower vibration. I'm like, no, 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 right? And the other one is keeping my heart open, right? So things, ideas, concepts that want make me separate and close my heart. So I want my heart open and I want no resistance. So I'm just like flowing through life, flowing through communication, staying one with people, all of that. So those are the two things so far. And I guess the third one, if I am present to it, is and I've had this since my kitty cat passed away, Pisa, a couple years ago, is like super presence with meaningful relationships, especially my kitty cats or whatever the thing, and even my own body, like, oh, body, I'm so appreciate, things like that, right? So the being here, be here now, be in the present, appreciate the thing, or what, like, I was thinking this morning, do you know how they, I don't know why this came to me, but what was the thing that how they say like, oh, in a such and such lifespan you will spend x amount of time, I was thinking about like making your bed or folding laundry or whatever. So I was like,
Chewing.
yeah, stuff like that. So I was like, oh, I'm doing dishes. I'm like, I wonder what the estimate is of how many, because I feel like I do a lot of dishes. That's just like one thing. I was just like, if I never did a dish again, I would be like, good. I was like, I bet, and my brain just went, you're going to spend 3 years of your life doing dishes. I was like, oh, that's shocking. Like, wow, like, so I was like, how can I not pass through something that's 3 years of my life I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
What could I bring the presence of, because things like you were, or somebody was telling me, like, you go into trance, like in a shower, driving in your car where you know the route and stuff like that, doing dishes, whatever. Like whenever your mind starts to kind of wander or like be open, I was like, wow, how could I do these dishes in a more medit
Mindful, mindful.
meditative and mindful state? So that's something that I'm just noticing, especially for things like if I'm going to be doing this damn thing for 3 years.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. What about you?
Oh, that's good. I feel like very quickly what happened for me is when I showed up to that first class and I was bearing witness to not only the three instructors that I'm in awe with, um, but the 700 other people,
Mhm.
you know, I feel like I'm walking around now with my shoes off
Mm.
and a different pair of glasses.
Mm.
Like I'm having a different
Yes.
physical
Yes.
experience,
Yes. I am too.
literally.
I am too.
And that is kind of blowing my mind a little bit.
It's hard to even describe. I can totally relate little different words I would put to it, but exactly. Like,
Yeah,
well, just having the lens on, like, this is my last year to live. And I think what's beautiful is there's no harshness or seriousness that we've put the lens on. It's more with wonder and curiosity and awareness and focus or consciousness. That's the general sense of it, right? But yeah, I
yeah,
agree.
yeah. But like this shoes off thing is like I'm really connected to my physical body.
Mm,
I was before also, and of course I just came through a surgery and a rehab and all these things, so I'm so in my body, like it's crazy. So it could be a combination of those two things and in a really, really powerful and respectful way.
mm,
And again, I probably had 80% of that before or whatever, but this 20% is like, holy hell.
mm,
And it's tripping me out.
mm, mm,
Like it's wild. And then the new glasses are like how I'm perceiving situations,
mm,
like yes, how I'm spending my time, who I'm spending it with, whatever, but just this general awareness of like looking at things and seeing things, whether it's like the palm trees or the trail and the plants, or like today I had this totally random experience, not really because I talked to everybody, but I literally was just in a store picking up some friggin' placemats. Okay, so like I'm just doing my thing, and I get in line and there's this little lady with kind of a cart in front of me, like dragging her cart, a little bit of shopping cart, like old school style or whatever, this teeny little lady. And she's looking at every little thing in the aisle, but we're in the checkout line. But you know how they try and sell you stuff as you're checking out. And she's like, you can go ahead. I said, no, I'm good. I'm actually looking at all this stuff too. Wow, what's that? Do I need that candle or whatever the hell? And so she just starts like chatting me up. And she's definitely 70s, maybe 80, and she's just this cutest little thing, and she's picking up every little thing and looking at it or whatever, just taking her sweet ass time, and I'm taking my sweet ass time.
mm.
Why am I in such a hurry? Do I need to go around her and be in front of her? What that just right?
Yep.
So I have this curiosity about this little old lady. And I'm a curious
Mhm.
with
Yep.
people, I'm curious.
Yeah.
And so she starts saying whatever she's saying, and I'm just intent, I'm looking her in the eye, I'm having this exchange with her. And she's telling me I'm from Canada, everything's so expensive, everything's really cheap here, blah blah blah. So we're having that little chitty chat, and she said, but I live here now, and she lives in the same town as me. And I said, isn't this the best town ever? And she goes, you know what, I'm going to die here.
Mm,
That's what she said to me.
mm,
A perfect stranger tells me she's going to die here
mm,
and that she couldn't be happier about it.
mm,
So
mm.
what, is now everybody going to tell me how they're going to die because I'm in this class about a year to live? Everybody I meet is going to be like, let me tell you how I'm going to die. Well, I'm going to do this. And I said to her, I think I am too.
But I think
But it was just this really tender moment.
I was gonna say, I think the other thing is like just the not slowing down for slowing down's sake, there's that, but the aware, like the moments matter. Like, oh,
That's what I'm saying.
I'm in
Yes.
a moment, like I was doing the dishes, I was just doing the dishes and I was like, what can I notice or just I was just what am I aware of that normally I'm just like off somewhere else and this is happening or whatever. But I was like, I'm doing the dishes right now, or you're like, Oh, and I do find myself way more curious, and this is a little bit of the landmark work, but way more curious about the people that I interact with. You know, Ram Dass has this thing, he goes, like, he talks about, like, if you can get a conscious person, you go, oh, is that you in there? How'd you get in there? You know, like, oh, it's me in here and you're in there. What's it like in there? You know, like there's this,
Mhm.
you know, and some people you come up against, they don't know that they're in there, you know, like you know, it's like nobody's home, you know, whatever. But that curiosity and that sense of this wonderness, I don't know, we're gonna just, I think there's more that we'll start to be able to speak to this, but I'm having it too. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is a really beautiful pair of glasses to be looking through.
Well, it's like from the heart. Like I feel like my heart is coming out through my eyes and like in my eyes are like going into my heart. There's some other dimension that's opened up than just like you said, like, oh, I gotta go pick up things, I gotta run the errands, you know, and whatever. But something else is doing it with us, or an awareness that we've opened a layer up or something. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Shit's about to get real, people.
It's so good. So good. It's so
Okay,
good.
let's wrap this party up. So there's two books if anyone's interested. First of all, um, Spirit Rock. If you want to look up the course, Spirit Rock, A Year to Live. Okay, it is currently closed because we're in the course and it does sell out. So you'll need to get registered. I think it registers somewhere October, November is what I remember
Each
at the
year.
end of this year. So get on their email list or else you will not know when registration opens and the chances of you getting in are slim. Okay, the book is A Year to Live, Stephen Levine and his beautiful wife. And then the other book is The Five Invitations, Frank Ostaseki.
Sesky, yeah. Just a Sesky. Something
Okay.
like that. Yep.
So lots of fun stuff is going to be happening this year. Polly and I will not talk about this every time, but we will brief you regularly on updates
For
and
sure.
the process,
Yeah.
and we'll share our journey.
Exactly. Exactly. And what's opening up. And, you know, I think there's going to be little spin-offs to this, you know, like as we do this review and then we go, "No," you know, and you've got, from what I recall, and I'm not sure, what I heard about the hospice one that was done when this was done in slow is like every month was like a section or a module or something. So I'm wondering if yours is going to have that flair to it too. Like,
Yeah, there is a course syllabus and modules and all those things. I don't have access to that, and I tried to look at it before this session. But again, I'm not really, I'll happily share that with you, but I'm less attached to that.
mhm.
For whatever reason, it's how I've decided to live my life after 50, to be totally honest. So this has been happening for a while, y'all. I was pretty much a rule breaker before, but I've taken it next level.
Yeah,
Okay.
totally.
And I've taken it next level. And not to be like an a-hole about that rule breaking, but just like, I'm pretty sure this is my life.
Mm,
So I might be doing it a little different.
for sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
it's all good.
So good. What's your one thing about this journey, this book, this study? What is something
Well,
that
my one thing for this particular podcast on this subject matter is I exhausted it out of the gate. I know people were sick of listening to it, but they've got to come to terms with their fear
mm,
around the dying body and the death, the
mm,
transition, the liberation. They've
mm,
got to come to terms with that fear. Otherwise, they'll never be able to look honestly at the inevitability of their own and the people they love.
mhm.
And they won't live as really deeply
Fully.
and as
Yeah,
fully and as
yeah.
beautifully as they could otherwise. So
Yeah,
that fear's got to go. The
yeah.
fear is a limiter, limiting factor.
And I would say, my one thing is, join us. Like whether you do this now or you're just curious, maybe this is the seed, and in 3 years you know, like you heard it 3 years ago with Vinny or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like we hope we've planted something in you that gets you curious about it. I can't wait for our 1 year anniversary on this and the shit of stuff we're going to share. Like, I mean, already, like we've been doing it for just a couple weeks, and I'm like, whoa, feels so good. You know, it's like, where will this take us? So I
Yeah.
hope that something in this either gets you to start it now, or we're planting that seed for you when it's time for you to go, you know what, that thing, that sounds, and I don't think either one of us has a morbid curiosity. That's not what, and I think any of this is. It's a spiritual curiosity. It's a life curiosity. It's a how to live a life more enriched because you're looking at all dimensions of life, the death and not these fears. Yeah. So I think there's going to be some, I hope the takeaway is whether you do it with us now or you take it on at some point. Yeah, I hope you take it on. So,
I think it's a path to freedom.
mm, mm.
It's that simple for me.
I love it. And I want you to share in the show notes your what your why is, because those were so good at the beginning of this. That was really yummy.
Mm.
All right, what's our signing off? What do we want to let them know as we sign off?
Oh, that one crazy life that you have and that one rented body. How it feels in that rented body and in that life is more important than how it looks.
And every day is your opportunity to find your awesome.